Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tara Illgner. I recently graduated from the University of Virginia with a master's in atmospheric chemistry and energy policy. It's a pleasure to deliver this talk today. Before I start, I just want to thank everyone who helped make this meeting possible. Carbon capture or CC technologies are commonly referred to by these acronyms, CCS and CCUS. The purpose of this talk is to emphasize the climate mitigation potential of employing carbon capture as a decarbonization tool to tackle interim carbon emissions as conventional systems are replaced by renewables. The 2021 IPCC report reiterates that reducing the cost of staying below 1.5 degrees C warming limit requires negative emissions or the net removal of CO2 from the atmosphere. To that end, this talk posits that the application of carbon reduction technologies should prioritize carbon drawdown efforts for net negative carbon emissions after 2050 by seeking ways to apply these technologies to all carbon emitting sources. Limiting warming to the recommended 1.5 degrees C will require intercepting CO2 emissions from all sectors using a hierarchy of approaches. Carbon capture focuses on the central section of this decarbonization chart. Beyond prevention and reduction, only CCS remains before resorting to releasing the emissions to the atmosphere. The best approach then is combining a series of tools, including carbon capture, to accelerate decarbonization. In zeroing in on the main carbon capture technologies in use today, these result in either low, zero, or negative emissions. The main options for interim emissions are pre and post combustion capture technologies, of which only the latter can be retrofitted onto existing facilities. These are under the low emission banner here on the chart. The Global CCS Institute counts 65 facilities globally, currently capturing approximately 40 million tons per year. However, currently global economies emit 42 gigatons of carbon per year, so there is still a 1,000-fold difference. Only direct air capture and other natural mechanisms of carbon dioxide removal can address legacy emissions, of which there are currently 19 DAC systems worldwide, capturing a total of 11,000 tons of CO2 annually. Under the zero emission banner, the Allen-Bedwick cycle is an intriguing new technology in operation for several years in La Porte, Texas, with several new facilities under development, including one being commissioned in England. It claims to produce zero emission energy generation by cycling compressed CO2 through turbines. After talks with their company CTO, it can even be modified to be a negative emission technology if attached to a DAC facility. So to accelerate the drawdown and reach climate goals, both interim and legacy emissions must be captured. Interim emissions captured through pre or post combustion technologies, and legacy emissions captured through direct air capture mechanisms, natural or man-made. Reuse at the bottom there offers a potential economic cycling that can support the acceleration of capturing old and interim emissions. So the key takeaways from my report, accepted as my thesis at the University of Virginia this spring, are that the most efficient path to decarbonization is combining all available carbon abatement methods. And carbon capture are unique and valuable tools that can be employed to reduce interim as well as legacy carbon emissions to accelerate decarbonization. The captured carbon can then be stored underground or sold for reuse. And challenges remain to increase CCS efficiency, and the incentives, both regulatory and market-based, are needed to achieve the level of carbon reduction needed to remain below 1.5 degrees C. Thank you so much for your attention today. More information is in the paper linked above that goes into greater detail. Please feel free to reach out to me. I look forward to any questions or feedback.